What is going on, guys? It is Daniel Wright here with Paving the Way. I believe this is episode 3, which is hard to believe that we've already done number 3. And I didn't know I was going to even be doing this just last week. So today I want to be talking about a recap of an event that I got to attend this past, a recent weekend. I can't remember when it was, but recently I got to attend an event with the Top Contractor School Inner Circle group. The Top Contractor School Inner Circle is a network of contractors that I've been a part of for several years now. That they are all different trades all over the country. That a friend of mine, Brian Hess, got to start a few years back. With really just kind of a big idea to help a lot of contractors the best way you can, and it's evolved into this. This is the 4th retreat that we've had so far. I've been fortunate to attend every single one of them. The last retreat I went to, I was able to take our operations manager, JJ, and bring him along. And then this most recent retreat, I brought him and Amanda, our office managers. So basically, these retreats, like I said, they've been evolving over time. They've had various speakers that come to them, various topics that get discussed. Some of it is tactical, some of it is strategy. But at the end of the day, a lot of, if not most of the value comes from the network that I get to interact with while I'm there. And that is something that I have learned probably the hard way, is that your network is really going to be what determines the trajectory of your life. Excuse me. I know a lot of us here as kids that, you become the people you hang around, or you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But it really is true. When you get into the rooms that I've gotten to be a part of, and it's just a bunch of guys and girls that are genuinely committed to not just growing their companies, not just creating good lives for themselves, but like moving the industry forward, moving the lives of the people who work with them forward. When that's what the people are focused on, that you're surrounded by, you can't help but walk away from these events with just like a ridiculous amount of momentum, with great ideas, with opportunity, new relationships, connections, everything like that. And the past retreat that we most recently went to, it was held down at the Diplomat Beach Resort in Hollywood, Florida. And ironically enough, Kelsey and I, my wife, we had spent her birthday there last year, and so it was kind of a repeat trip for us. She comes along with me on these retreats, and as she started to make friends in the network as well. And so we were really excited about going there, and also showing it to JJ and Amanda and giving them the opportunity to come along. So it was something that was pretty special to us already, but man, everything that came along with it just made it even more special. I mean, everything that we do is, class A. It's always, the best of the best. These are people who really invest a lot of time, energy, finances, things like that to attend these events. And I will say, that Brian and his team do a fantastic job at making sure that it runs as smoothly as possible. Excuse me. And so from the time we get there, we have different chat groups and stuff where we start talking with each other about, hey, who's in town tonight? Let's go grab dinner. So I got there and I sent out a message to the chat group saying, hey, myself and my team were in town and want to see if anyone wanted to grab dinner. Truthfully, I didn't really expect many people to respond to it. But next thing I knew, I was getting reservations for 15 people at the steakhouse that was at the resort we were at. So, and I will say, man, that was a fantastic night to start it off. Because the event hadn't even started yet. These are all people who came in early just to spend more time networking and maybe enjoy the beach a little bit or some things like that were there. But the whole goal of it was to spend the time networking. And it was just a fantastic meal with, new friends that I got to make that were new to the group, as well as old friends that have been there from the start. So, pardon me, I'm getting over this cold, but it was really just a fantastic opportunity to just catch up with everyone, learn about new people, things like that. So that was the first night we were there. That was a Thursday night. On the Friday, so the retreat started Friday evening about 6 o'clock. Every time we do it, we host a welcome party that has drinks and food, hors d'oeuvres, cutting stations for the meats and everything like that. Got some music playing, and it's really just like a mixer of everybody getting in there and just getting to catch up and really just get things kicked off well. During that the welcome party, we tend to give out awards. So the top contractor school has different awards, such as core values awards. It's got leadership awards. It's got this year we had a rookie of the year award. We had an MVP award. So it's all things that are really just for individuals that really demonstrate what top contractor school stands for, the values that we stand for, the goals that we do, and really the people who are committed to helping make it and its members better. So it was really a neat evening that kind of just goes until everything fades off. I was actually one of the last couple people there because if y'all haven't noticed, I kind of like to talk. So that was Friday night, and then the next morning started off at 8 a.m. Breakfast was served, a nice continental style breakfast from the resort was up by our meeting room, and then educational sessions started at 9 a.m. The educational sessions, man, it's cool. Like I said earlier, we've had in the past different speakers at some of them that show up. Of all different trades, whether it's marketing, whether it's mental strength, whether it's business development, digital marketing, SEO or Google, things like that, strategies. But we've also had the opportunity to hear from a few, I guess you consider them, like keynote speakers. So that day consisted of hearing from Keith Calloway Jr., who he's on the board of Top Contractor School. He's an individual that has really poured his heart and soul into this group and organization, and in turn has been really just rewarded in his company that he works with. He's part of K&L Industries out in the Portland, Oregon area, I believe, is where they're at, and they are killing it. Started with his dad several years ago, about 39 years ago, if I recall correctly. And then over the last handful of years, he's been a much more intricate part of that group. So he got to speak for a little while just on his lessons and his experiences that he's had in leadership. That's something I forgot to tell you. The whole weekend was revolved around leadership. So that was the topic of the weekend, is really just how we implement leadership strategies and tactics, things that work, things that don't, things to consider, whatever it may be. It's leadership-based learning for the weekend. So he shared with us some of his wins, some of his failures, and everything in between, and we got to be privy to that. So that was really, really cool, really special. And after that, we heard from Brian Hess, who I mentioned. He's the guy who more or less founded Top Contractor School and runs the show right now. So he got to speak on leadership, how he's experienced it in his personal life, in his business's life, in the Top Contractor School's life, everything like that. So he was able to share that and really give us a lot of perspective from his point of view. In the middle of the day, obviously around lunchtime, we're all a bunch of contractors that go there, so we like to eat. So there is definitely always a lunch break with typically lunch provided, through the retreat. That's part of your all expense paid. It comes with your lunch and everything like that. So again, that lunch, it's hard because you want to eat, but yet you're being fed so much valuable information, as well as wanting to network about the information that we've been fed. So, you're trying to get a bite in about every 50 words you say, because you're trying to talk with everybody during the hour and a half break we have. And it's really just a fantastic, kind of midpoint of the day for that Saturday. Saturday afternoon, we rolled into a few more speakers we had. We had one individual, Claudio Gambin with Gambin Financial Group. They are obviously a financial company. So actually, I just recently brought them on board as my company is growing. And truthfully, I'm now responsible for more finances than I ever have been in my entire life. I figure, I probably better bring some professionals on board and make sure I'm not going to royally mess this up. So he got to provide a lot of information just on, risk management, which, kind of equates to like insurances and, asset protection and leverage and things like that, that was able to provide a lot of valuable insight on to make sure that these contractors here, had a broader perspective of the bigger picture of things they need to be looking at. From there, and anybody who was there, forgive me if I'm missing any of the details. I'm trying to recall them the best I can. But from there, we got to hear from a special guest, a friend of Brian's, Brad Lee. I'm not sure if some of you guys have maybe heard of him. He's involved in the digital training space. He's trained a lot of the big business guys that are out there. Especially anything digital. He's been part of it. That's been his thing that he really, kicks a lot of ass at and speaks a lot on it. But in the many years he's had experiencing that, he's experienced successes and failures. And one of the things that he brought up in his conversation, and I feel like I've heard either the same thing mentioned before or something similar, is he said, he calls it his $1 million morning. The $1 million morning is basically, in a nutshell, because I can't explain it the exact same way he did. The $1 million morning is more or less, people ask him a lot, like, Brad, like, why are you always so happy? You're always so cheerful. You're always so, whatever, like, why are you never down? And he said it was presented to him one time to basically someone asked him, they said, if I was to give you $1 million to not wake up tomorrow, would you take it? And he said, well, hell no, I wouldn't take that. Why would I take that? And they told him, they said, well, if that's the case, then you should be waking up every day like your life is worth more than $1 million, that you value your life more than $1 million. So why are you not working in the way that you would be able to achieve and gain and acquire that $1 million? And he said, once he got that mentality, that he's like, wow, I really should be hustling a lot more. I should be more, diligent and intentional with my time. Those types of things started coming to light because he realized that someone just offered him $1 million to not wake up. And it's like, I won't take it. So it makes me think, if someone offered you $1 million right now, would you take it to not wake up tomorrow? Probably not. So I know it's kind of a heavy topic to think about, but at the end of the day, if we're given the gift of life, what are we doing with it? And why are we not making sure that it is more valuable than $1 million? Because if that's what we wouldn't trade it for, then we need to make sure it's worth that or more. So that was one of the big things that he spoke on that kind of stuck out to me. He touched on a lot of other topics, a lot of strategies, such as, if you really want to grow in what you're doing, it's really a 3-step equation. It's do more of it, get better at it, and then scale. So just keep doing what you're doing, keep doing more of it, and become a professional at it, become an expert at it. And then that's going to allow you to get better at it because you're becoming that professional, becoming that expert, whatever it may be. And then once you get to that point, then you can scale it. A lot of contractors especially think that, oh, I can do this job, so now I'm going to go do it for everybody. And then next thing you know, you're crumbling with whether it's requests for work you can't keep up with, whether it's receivables you don't know where your money's at, whether it's materials that you thought you had but you don't, things like that. So there's a process to the growth. And the last thing that he touched on that excuse me, the last thing that he touched on that stuck out was he said, patience can be deadly. Actually, he specifically said patience kills. But I took it as patience can be deadly. like I just mentioned, the process of do more, get better, scale, that does require some patience to do it properly. However, if all you do is get stuck at the do more of it, and you're never worried about getting better, and you're never worried about getting, scaling it, just doing more of it will eventually kill you. You will run yourself into the ground. You will not be productive. You will not be able to serve more people, make more of an impact, whatever it may be. You just won't be able to do it. So there has to be a sense of urgency. There has to be a sense of deadline, of a goal that you're trying to get to. And that's something he said, he's like, too many people think that they've got their whole, forever to accomplish their goals. And, if you're not careful, forever is going to come and your goals aren't going to be accomplished. And then what? Was your life worth more than that $1 million? Did you make the impact you were put on this earth to make? Did you achieve the things you were created to achieve? Those type of things start coming into play if we're not actually, trying to, work with urgency. So, and that's something that I've, maybe struggled a little bit in my own life is, I've always taken the approach of growing my business as the slow and steady. Slow and steady wins the race, which we're not doing too bad. We're pretty confident in who we are, where we're at, what we stand for, how we do things. We've done the do more part of it. We're continuing the get better part of it. And now we have the foundation built to scale. And so, but with that, like I said, comes the urgency. With that being said, it leads me to the last speaker that we had on Saturday. Was quite a surprise, quite a treat. And this individual, he talks about a concept called the law of the lid. And he did this for quite a while in his presentation. This guy is a very well-known individual in the leadership space, probably one of the best to ever do it. Has worked with people all over the world, in every country. They equip leaders. They bring people to Christ. They equip. He has an organization called Equip. Brian was able to get a gentleman by the name of Dr. John Maxwell to come and speak to our group at this retreat. And man, to say you could have heard a pin drop during his presentation is an understatement. Everybody in that room knows exactly who this man is. And I'm sure if you're listening to me, you probably have a good idea who he is as well. And it was an absolutely surreal experience. He's one of the first, professional and personal development books, authors that I read years ago. I still continue to read his books. He's got plenty to keep me busy for quite some time. He's just really just a good person. But one of the big things that he spoke about that, like I said, kind of tied into the urgency that Brad Lee was talking about, that patience can be deadly, is he talked about the law of the lid. And basically the law of the lid is us as leaders, or really individuals, whether you're a leader or not. We all lead people. We all have someone that looks up to us in some way or another. And us as leaders have a bad habit sometimes of keeping a lid on either us individually or the people we lead. And so the people we lead are trying to grow. They're trying to follow us. They're trying to accomplish the things that they dream to accomplish. And if us as the leader is sitting here with the lid on it and they keep trying to, bust through that lid, and we're just sitting there with it nice and steady, and it's not moving. And we just tell those people that, hey, you're not going anywhere. We're going to stay right in your way. The way John described it was, he said, eventually those people, instead of stop trying to rise up, they start settling down. And when they start settling down, they get complacent. They, cut corners on stuff. They look for other opportunities. They feel as if they're not wanted or they're not appreciated for what they're doing. And the law of the lid is one of the biggest things, and from what I got out of him, one of the biggest things that stops the growth of anything, of you as a person, of our businesses, of our families, our organizations, whatever it may be. The law of the lid is what's right there. And a lot of the times we are the ones putting the lid on ourselves and the people around us. So it was really eye-opening. I've always heard that, leadership's typically the bottleneck of any company or organization or whatever it may be. But it it really hit home. Um, I think me personally, I am someone who, candidly, it's nice to be wanted. It's nice to be needed. It's nice to feel important, right? But if that's all that I'm concerned about, then all I'm doing is capping the people that are around me. And that's selling them short of their potential. Especially if they're not, urgent enough to get off of my bus and go somewhere else. So it was an eye opener to make sure that, I am aware of if I'm capping anybody. And if I am, to make sure that I get out of the way, that I make sure to equip them with what they need to succeed. And if I'm not able to do that, then I'm able to set them up with somebody who is, because it's my responsibility to those that count on me as a leader to make sure that they have at least the opportunity to achieve everything that they desire to achieve. So that was Saturday. And then, I know I just threw a lot at you with these speakers, but Saturday night we had we took a couple of buses to, I think there was around 80 or so of us that took off down to a restaurant for dinner. Had an absolutely fantastic evening, getting to just continue networking, continue sharing stories and, ideas and tactics and strategies and things like that with each other, talking about the fantastic day we had previously, and just what we looked forward to on Sunday. So then that leads us into Sunday. And one of the things that we've done at these retreats, which I don't want to completely give it away because you never know, you might be there one day, is on the last day we do a recap. And we kind of give everybody an opportunity to share like what they took away from the weekend, and just kind of relive it and bring it to light. So that's always a special time, because it's more of just a raw and real type of a recap, where you're in a room of, I know it's hard to believe, but a room of a bunch of contractors. They all become softies. Their hearts get soft and they open up. The emotions come out, and it was I'm trying to make sure my emotions don't come out right now, but it was really neat to see, specifically JJ and Amanda get to speak on what they took out of the event. It was a surreal opportunity, to see people that I get to work with on a regular basis and get the opportunity to lead them in business and in this journey that we're in together. Get to see what they took out of it. And it was special. Amanda, when she got to speak, she talked about that, her big thing she took out was being motivated, and being motivated to be more, not just at work, not just, as an office manager or whatever it is, but be, just be motivated to take action in her life. And that itself is just amazing. I mean, it's wild to me to think about that, this one event, she takes that motivation and turns it into discipline and turns it into habits and lifestyle, that her whole trajectory of her life could change. Like, how wild is that to think about? And then JJ, as somebody who was he's a former Marine, former highway patrolman for state of North Carolina. His takeaway was peace, that he was able to feel and realize an inner peace that he had in his life that he hadn't gotten to experience in quite some time because of the career that he worked. I'm sure you can imagine being a law enforcement officer is not always a peaceful day at work. So, but to see him, genuinely express that takeaway was just a really cool opportunity. If you're curious, my takeaway was, the power of being present as well as byproducts, and how, when you are present and doing the things that you need to do and you're showing up for the people you need to show up for, yourself included, the byproduct of that is what we got to experience. It's getting to bring two of your closest people you work with to a retreat like this. It's getting to spend a weekend with people from all over the country, just working, talking about how we can build our businesses to better serve our people and our clients and our vendors and everything like that that just, continues to elevate. And it was really just a very special weekend. It was it was our winter retreat, so we'll have another one in June. Looks like we're gonna be going to Southern California for the next one, and just look forward to it. About every 6 months we do these things. So that's kind of a recap of the Top Contractor School Inner Circle Retreat. This group of people has not just become a network for me, not just become friends of mine, but they really have become like an extended family. I mean, so much in that, Kelsey and I were having a conversation a long time ago, actually, probably a couple months now. And I don't know how it got brought up, but it was one of those like, hey, if something ever happened to me, what would you do with Proline? What would you do with the company? And without even like missing a beat, she said, I would probably call Lori, who's Brian's wife, who runs Top Contractor School. She said, I would call Lori because I've got her number, and I would have her get me in touch with Brian and have him help me figure out what the heck to do with the company. And to know that even my wife, whom I trust with everything, and I, want to make sure that she's on board with everything I'm doing. Even my wife respects and has a relationship enough with these individuals that if God forbid something happened to me, she would go to them for help and guidance and for understanding on what to do. That's special. That's really freaking special. So I hope you have enjoyed this recap of our 2023 Winter Top Contractor School Retreat. It's going to be a fun year ahead. I know that with the conversations we've had, with things that are coming down the line, not just for us, but for everybody in the group. We are all helping each other win. We're all helping each other grow, and we're all here for each other with whatever comes up. So that is that for the retreat. This wraps up episode 3, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.